He was forced to leave Chelsea, went over to Germany, and became Bayern's ultimate jackpot. Jamal Musiala is just 22 and is already one of the most rated midfielders in the world. He's barely had 5 seasons of First League European football and he's already worth 100 million. And for his national team, Germany, he's a wildcard. At such a young age, he has already represented his country in 2 back-to-back Euro tournaments and the World Cup. But you see, Musiala's career would have taken a completely different turn. He wasn't supposed to play for Germany or Bayern. For this guy, it was always England and Chelsea. He already represented the English Giants and was on his way to becoming the next big thing in the England side. That was the plan all along. Now that leads to the question, why did Musiala leave the club of his dreams? And how did he manage to increase his worth after leaving? Now this is it. Musiala wasn't born in England. He was actually born in Stuttgart, Germany, to a Nigerian-British father, Daniel Richard, and his mum, Caroline Musiala, who was a German woman with Polish roots. He spent his first years in Germany alright, but by the time he turned 7, he and his family moved to England. He spent the rest of his childhood here, and actually was supposed to spend the rest of his life. He really began his football journey here, as his first real football experience came when he started representing his primary school, Corpus Christi in New Malden, on behalf of a succession of local football clubs, including Brentford, Wimbledon, and even Fulham. With these teams, he won the EFL Utilita Kids Cup twice. As you can already imagine, football was a huge part of his life. And not just some football, he was already deep into the English system. As he advanced in his education, he also took forward steps in his football journey. He joined the Whitgift School in Croydon for secondary education, for football, and went ahead to join one of the best English academies, the Southampton Academy. Here it became clear what the kid's passion was. Football for him wasn't an extracurricular activity or something he just did for fun or to stay healthy. It was his whole life. Moving to a new country at such a young age, football was what kept him going. He played and played and played until he caught the attention of one of the biggest teams in the country, Chelsea. As a young baller in England, this is one of the best things that can ever happen to you. Grind your way through primary and secondary school football and suddenly, one of the teams in the country's Big Six decides you're good enough to join their youth side. Dream come true. It's all coming together for the kid. His hard work was finally paying off, and most importantly, he was finally in a team that believed in him and was ready to invest in him and unlock his true potential. At Chelsea, Musiala became a different beast. He was just barely above 10, and he was already competing with the 15-year-olds. His coaches couldn't believe their eyes. They had never seen a kid so advanced. The things Musiala was doing on the pitch, the way he dribbled past bigger opponents, the way he scanned the pitch and controlled the game like a veteran midfielder, the way he stepped up to score clutch goals for the team when he had to. These were things the coaches only saw in the team's higher divisions. His technical ability was out of this world, and this was perhaps what set him apart. The ball stayed glued to his feet, making his dribbles more effective and look more effortless. You can get him in the trickiest situations, but you best believe he'll breeze out of there still in possession of the ball. By the time he turned 14, his coaches had him playing with the 18-year-olds. Yeah, he was just that good. He was obviously at a huge physical disadvantage. He was smaller, slower, but the thing is, this guy was wiser. He didn't just master how to use his body to his advantage, but playing with bigger boys forced him to learn how to make quick and good decisions on the pitch. Chelsea knew they found a gem. Musiala was having a good time in his team. It was like a match made in heaven. Chelsea were ready to see him through, train him, watch him grow, and when he comes of age, move into the main team where he'd dominate the Premier League. This was a plan, but somewhere along the line, things went horribly wrong. Coming into 2019, Musiala's mum, Caroline, who was actually studying in England at the time, could no longer keep up. She wasn't earning enough. Musiala was still a kid, nothing was coming from him, and to make matters worse, there was the whole Brexit issue. Caroline had no choice but to return to Germany. This wasn't an easy decision, as both she and her kid were saying sad goodbyes to key parts of their lives. For her, it was her studies, and for Musiala, he was saying goodbye to football and all his years of grinding his way to the level he was. They finally moved back to Germany, and just when it looked like Musiala would have to start all over again, or maybe even give up on football, they got amazing news. Turns out, the biggest team in Germany, Bayern Munich, had their eyes on the kid all this time. They knew there was a talented kid with German roots playing for Chelsea. They knew they wanted him, but knew they almost couldn't do anything to make Chelsea release him. They also wouldn't release a player that talented. But now that he was back in Germany, they quickly made their move. And of course, Musiala wasn't going to turn down the offer. July 2019, he joined the German side. He was just 16 at the time. He was now in a new team, but the plan remained the same: continue grinding till he came of age. Just like Chelsea, Bayern wasn't going to rush him into the first-team football just yet. Raw talent wasn't enough. There was things he first had to add to his game, and of course his body wasn't ready for main team action yet. He spent the next 11 months training in the academy, and on the 3rd of June 2020, he made his professional debut. Bayern's second team went head-to-head with Preußen Münster in the 3rd Liga, and Musiala came on as a substitute. He played well and impressed the coaches at Bayern so much that 17 days after his debut, he got his Bundesliga debut. He was just 17 years old at the time, making him the youngest player to represent Bayern in the Bundesliga. Bayern ended that season winning the UEFA Champions League, and because he was registered in the team's UEFA Champions League squad, he got his first UEFA Champions League medal, although he didn't play any games. But with 8 goals and 3 assists all through the season, he had a decent debut season. Coming into the 2020-21 season, things took a different turn for Musiala. Now Bayern felt he was ready for the big stage. He broke into the first team, and on the 18th of September, he scored his first Bundesliga goal as Bayern absolutely demolished Schalke 8-0. This was a special night for the kid, as he not only scored, but became Bayern's youngest ever goalscorer. He also made his UEFA Champions League debut as he came on for Thomas Müller against Red Bull Salzburg. Musiala was on a roll here. It was becoming clear Bayern was adding him to their plans, and everyone's doubts were cleared on the 1st of December when Bayern faced Spanish giants Atletico Madrid in the Champions League, and Musiala was in the starting 11. Starting such a game against such an opponent is no joke, and it showed Bayern's faith in Musiala. With every game, Musiala got smarter. His decisions became more refined, his passes more precise, and his movements more threatening. He opened his Champions League goal-scoring account against Lazio on the 23rd of February 2021, making him Bayern's youngest goal-scorer in the competition. And in about 2 weeks after this goal, Bayern offered him his first professional contract that lasts until 2026. 1 month before he put pen to paper for Bayern, he announced that he'd represent Germany at the international level. You know, there was always this question: would he represent England or Germany, as he'd already represented both countries in the junior divisions? Anyway, he ended the season with 7 goals and 1 assist across all competitions. For an 18-year-old midfielder who was only playing his first season with the main team, those were pretty encouraging numbers. The 2021-22 season was a way more advanced version of Musiala. All this while, we'd been seeing a kid that just wanted to dribble past everyone, or just get the ball forward as quick as he could. But now, he was out for goals. Now he was getting himself into more advanced positions, trying to score for himself. He wasn't playing like a rookie anymore, but like a seasoned pro that knew when to score goals and when to dribble. In a derby game against Dortmund, and not just that, the title decider, Musiala scored a goal that sealed it up for Bayern. Before this, he'd already scored a goal against one of the team's biggest European rivals, Barcelona, in the Champions League. Now, it became clear to Bayern, Musiala is one player who must be protected at all costs. And not just Bayern, but for Germany. At this point, he'd already represented them in a few different tournaments, World Cup qualifiers and the Euros, and with every game, he was proving his worth. Scoring clutch goals for the team like a number 9, and when the 2022 World Cup came around, Musiala was one of Germany's first picks. The 2022-23 season rolled in, and Musiala came in with one mission: score, score, and score. 16 goals and 16 assists is a crazy stat for a midfielder. That 89th minute winner against FC Köln to win the league for Bayern will forever be iconic. Then the 2023-24 season was another breeze for him, as he finished as the team's second highest goalscorer with 13 goals. And the crazy thing about this guy is that he assists just as well as he scores. he added 10 assists to his 13 goals. This guy is the ultimate attacker, stepping up to score important goals for the team and constantly setting his teammate up to score when he can't. For Bayern, Musiala is that wildcard player. He and Harry Kane have formed an attacking duo that terrifies defenses. Right now, he's just 22 and already Bayern's most important player. He's literally the future, as everything that happens in that team revolves around him. February this year, he extended his contract with Bayern until 2030. That's making sure he stays with them for at least 5 more years. It's a pretty bold move, but common. This guy has been amazing. So far this season, he's only missed 6 league games, and it's all because of injury. But regardless, he's scored more than 10 league goals already. First time Bayern clashed with their biggest league rivals, Dortmund, this season, he scored the goal that kept Bayern level. And when Bayern squared off against another rival, Bayer Leverkusen, in the Champions League round of 16, he scored a goal. He always rises to the occasion, never gives in to pressure, and makes sure that he gives the crowd a show. 22 years old, very entertaining to watch, very effective, talented, and he still hasn't unlocked his true potential. Musiala is one of the young stars of the football world, and we all have high hopes for him. Maybe he can even go on to win a Ballon d'Or before he clocks 30. Let me know what you think in the comments, and while you're at it, please drop a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel.